Back, and this is question 1384. It's called total sales amount by year. And for this question, we're given a product table and a sales table. The product table just has a product ID, which is a foreign key to the sales table, where we're given a start and end date as to the period that that product was being sold for and the average daily sales that product earned. And this product table is essentially just used so that we can get the product name. It's just a connection to get the name of the product. So the bulk of what we're working with is the sales table. Now the output of our query will be this table here, where this is an example table. And in this case, product ID 3, which is LC keychain, we have 2 rows for it. And so each row is kind of keyed or, grouped so that we have a distinct 2019 and 2020. So every year that particular item is sold for, we're going to have an individual row for it. And so because this item is sold between, December 1st of 2019 to January 1st of 2020, it's really only sold for 2 months, but it's part of 2 different years. And it has an average daily sale of $1 a day. And so because in 2019, it's only sold for 1 month, we have $31, dollars that it earned. And then in the 2020 year, since it was only sold in the month of January, we have also $31. Now, there are different cases where, in this case, it spans from 2018 to 2020 or 2019 to 2020. And so we actually have 3 individual rows for that product, the LC t-shirt. So we looked at the product ID 2. It's this one here. Okay, so I'll be providing a simpler solution. This solution takes advantage of the fact that we know that it's always going to be between 2018 and 2020. And so you could instead design your solution so it's more scalable, which would be a better answer in an interview. So because they give you this knowledge, it allows you to take advantage and provide a simpler solution. But if you actually wanted to go above and beyond and potentially you have to just do better than the other person interviewing, this might not be the perfect approach, but I think it's a simple one for this question. And I think there's enough you can kind of learn from this question using this simple solution. So I think it's a good one to learn by. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to use a subquery in our from clause, and we'll just call this T for temporary table. And we're going to be joining it with the product table, because all we really need from this product table is the name of the product, which is used for the second column of our output. Okay, so we'll be joining on the product ID. So we're T dot product ID is equal to, we'll give us an alias P dot product ID. Just uppercase that. And so in our select clause, we'll be selecting first the product ID from our temporary table. Then we need the product name, which is why we join with that product table. And then in this subquery, we'll be providing the report year and total amount. So we'll just pull that from this query. And so finally, what we also know is that they want us to order by the product ID and report year. So we just do an order by, we grab the ID and the year the product was sold for. Okay, so that kind of fulfills the outer query. And so within this inner query, we'll want to grab these values. And so the way that we're going to do it is, once again, we're going to take advantage that we know that it's always going to be these values. So we're going to kind of hard code these values in here. And so to do that, we're actually going to make 3 different tables and we're just going to connect them all using a union null statement. And so that just stacks the tables on top of each other essentially. And so now we're going to select the fields that we need. So we'll need the product ID. We'll also be returning the year, and so we'll be given that an alias year. We'll have to calculate this, and then the total amount. And so we're actually repeating this, for each year. And so this is all coming from our sales table. And then we're going to have a where clause to check that, it's in the 2018 year, for example, for this first one. So actually we can take this 2018 value and we're just going to place it right here with the report year, because we know that, okay, in this case where a where clause evaluates this table, it's going to be, we know that this product will be sold in the 2018 year. And so to determine that, what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at the start and the end date, and we'll be checking that, okay, is 2018, in the start period or in the end period. We don't have to worry about it being between, because we know that's either going to be starting or ending in the 2018 year. So where the year, that's just a function to pull the year out of this date field, where the year of, we'll look here, period start is equal to 2018, or the end date or the end period is in 2018. Great. And so now all we have to do is calculate the total amount. So this is determined by, first we multiply it by the average daily sales. And so what we're going to do in this clause is we're going to use the dateDiff function. And this is actually going to determine how many days are basically between these two periods, and we're just going to multiply it by the daily sales. So this total amount will be, okay, in the 2018 year, we know the total amount of money we earned from this product in the 2018 year by calculating the number of days that were in this period and the average daily sales. And so we're actually going to wrap this in brackets and add 1 to this, because how the dateDiff function works is that if you don't add this +1, and we're checking the difference between December 1st, 2020 to December 1st, 2020, the exact same dates, it'll return 0, because the difference between those dates, which are the same dates, is 0, like there's no difference between them. We want to add 1 because we want to count that as at least 1 day. So it kind of takes care of that particular case. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to provide the least and the greatest functions. And so these are kind of used like the max and min. So we're going to provide 2 numbers to these functions, and they'll evaluate, for this case, which one's the largest number, the max, the greatest, and this one, the smallest number. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to provide the period end date, period end, and then the period start. And so now we'll, in the second clause, for 2018, we'll provide the last day of the year, which is 31, and then we'll provide the first day of the year, which is that, January 1st. And so what this is going to do is we're going to take the smallest numbers between period end and here, which we know is the last day of the year. And so because it's at least going to be December 31st. It's also important to put in this order where we put the end date and then the start date, because otherwise the date diff will actually return a negative number. And so, say if you put January 1st and December 1st of 2018, it'll return negative like 12 rather than positive 12. Or actually, it'll be 11 in this case, plus 1, which is then 12. Okay, so we're actually going to repeat this 2 more times. So we'll select it again for 2019. So we'll fill in these values again, but for 2019. And then for 2019, this is a special case because this number or this year can be in between the start and end date. And so you actually want to provide like a greater than or equal to and a less than or equal to clause. So here, it has to be either less than or equal to 2019, and then or the end date is greater than or equal to 2019. But for the 2020 year, we don't have to worry about that. It will be the same case as 2018. Great, so let's give that a shot. Oh. I'll just take a peek at this. That's just spelled wrong. Product. And here. Oh, on, yeah, that needs to be an equals. Oh, it looks like I misspelled this there as well. Awesome, accepted. Let's run that. Oh, it seems wrong. Wish we could make this bigger, but actually we'll just look at my answer for it. So we'll just copy this and double check these. So just find out what's different here. Awesome. Looks other than that, as T there, and those are just swapped. Oh, here. So this is just a small little, just because I was copy pasting over it, I kind of skipped over it. So this is an and clause here, but I added or. And so this needs to be and because, you know, in order for this to evaluate to be true, you know, the start date and the end date have to be either greater than or equal to 2019, both of them. So it can't just be one of them. So that makes sense. So just run that. And success. So small little fix. That's a good thing to keep in mind with when you're pasting all these overhand, is just to double check that these special cases are are correct. So yeah, I hope my explanation helped. This isn't the best solution. You can make a more scalable one using recursion where you can kind of repeat some of the same logic, but I think this learning about date diff, least, the greatest field, extracting the year, and then this kind of subquery in the from clause, like you learn so much from this example. I think it's worthwhile to take a look at this, especially for me as a beginner. So I really hope that helped, and good luck with the rest of your algorithms. Thank you.